That is really an important lesson that we need to understand as parents too.
Mm-hmm.
That we need to be able to look at that and recognize that that might not be real.
You know, that kid's like, oh, this so-and-so got 100 on this test and I got a 72. Look, they posted a picture of it on Snapchat. And now I feel like a loser. And it's like, well, how do you know that they didn't get like a 57 on another test today that they're not posting? They're not posting the worst moments. And so we're all having a human experience, but we're not sharing it with each other. So what we're seeing isn't real. Hi, pod people. Welcome to this week's episode of
Why Do People Do That?
So this week we are talking about back to school.
Ugh. Sorry.
That's exactly why we're going to talk about back to school, because it's for so many people, right? So
it's really stressful.
It is really stressful.
And it's really hard to jump into suddenly having a routine again after a summer of kids just kind of running wild, like Lord of the Flies, like no bedtime. No, really, there's no bedtime. Like there's no rules. They're, eating whenever, food's late. They're waking up at noon. And then to get suddenly back into the expectations and the routine is really hard.
It is hard. I think it's hard for the kids and the parents.
Yeah.
Right. So when you said, ugh, it's really hard.
You said it too.
Were you thinking? I did. And I will talk about why. But I'm asking you first. Were you thinking about your daughter or were you thinking about yourself?
I'm thinking both.
What makes it hard for you?
I enjoy the summer and I like the flexibility of not having, all these activities and all sorts of things and not having that. So just getting back into the routine of having, dinner at a certain time and homework and all of that can be a lot I'm thinking her, but me also, like having to change what I do.
In what ways are you changing?
Even something simple, like she'll want to spread her crap out on the dining room table, like when she's studying and having to then like move myself and move dinner other places and having dinner at a kind of a specific time and, shower and bedtime and all of that, although she's older, but I'm just kind of thinking back to getting back into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of, I'm listening to you talk and I'm just hearing a lot of have tos.
Mm-hmm.
Have to. I think you said that several times. And so there's so many pressures of have tos that I think that society puts on us and that we put on ourselves. And in the summer, we get a break from that.
Yeah.
And then when we go back to school, it all comes flying back again. So let's try and see if we can figure out what is it about the culture of school and having kids in school or being a kid in school that takes away or robs us of like this freeness, right? That we feel over the summer, right? Because they say that structure is important and that, we tend to thrive more with routine, but yet people tend to be happier without the structure and routine of the summer. And they feel more stressed with the structure and routine that that becomes such a big have to in the fall. And so the reason I thought about doing a back to school episode, from a mental health perspective is because as a group practice owner and having such a big practice on Long Island and serving thousands of kids, because we see a lot of kids and families, what I find really amazing is the enormous drop off over the summer of therapy. A lot of our patients are like, I'm going to take a break for the summer. We just want to be free. Go to the beach, go here, go there, just live our day. We don't want to be tied down to the time and the session and the commitment. Our days are going to be free. Or, I don't really feel like I need to come over the summer. I'll come back in the fall.
Even the child inpatient numbers drop off significantly over the summer.
Yeah. So In September, historically, I mean, I can't speak for what's going to happen to this September, although I can guess. September and October are two of the three busiest months of the year for incoming new patients in therapy. The busiest month, I would say, is January.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, which we talked about in our New Year's resolution episode. Call back to the New Year's resolution episode, people. And we talk about people wanting to get a fresh start and New Year's resolutions and starting fresh and getting healthy and all that stuff. And that's great. But September and October is huge for the influx of people coming into therapy because they're back to their routine. They're back to the pressure and the shoulds and the have-tos of the school year. And so to get back to what you were saying, you know, let's talk about these shoulds and the pressures of routine and the have to that is really supposed to be healthy for us, but is not. So let's see if we can kind of talk through this and figure out together, what is it about the school year? What is it about school that seems to be creating a mental health crisis?
Well,
amongst the children and the parents.
I mean, that seems like a whole other topic. But I mean, the bullying in school, the pressure that kids are putting on themselves for academics. We were just talking about that before. There's a host of things that are going to kind of, you know, the anxiety that's going to come out, the depression, all sorts of things. Kids were not wanting to go there, school avoidance.
Yeah. So let's tackle those things one by one. Because if we're going to have, an effective back to school episode, that's going to be helpful for our viewers and listeners. Maybe what we need to talk about, you know, maybe for the kids that might be watching or for the parents that are watching is how do we maybe start this school year off with a little bit of a different approach or perspective so that maybe it can be a healthier year.
And a smoother transition.
Absolutely. So one of the things you said was bullying. Let's start with that. So back in the day when you and I were, you know,
in school,
little Tads going to school.
In the 1900s?
You know, in the 1900s, you know, 100 years ago, because we're 100 years old. What's strikingly different to me is that when the school day ended, I could just go home, go into my house, and be in my safe place until it was time to go back to school the next day. And I don't want to make it sound like school was this horrible, scary place for me, because it wasn't. I wasn't a kid who struggled at school. I didn't struggle academically or with friends or bullying. But even being a well-adjusted kid who wasn't struggling, there were really hard days.
Of course.
Right? It could be something as simple as the boy you like asked somebody else out, or two of your friends were talking and giggling in class and you feel left out, or you saw someone pass somebody a note, because back in the day,
we had pens and paper.
We passed notes, right? We would like fold them into a little football and like fling them across the room and like hope the teacher didn't get it because it said something horrible on it. And, you know, there was stressful things that went on throughout the day, but whatever those things were, whether they were big or small, when the day ended, we went home, we took a deep breath, and we immersed ourselves in whatever made us feel good. It could have been watching MTV, waiting for our favorite video to come on, Bon Jovi, or it could have been just like taking a nap and eating your favorite snack and waiting for dinner and just sitting at the dinner table with whoever your family was that you sat at the dinner table with, and talking on the phone with your best friend. You know, I would call you and we would talk on the phone for hours about nonsense.
It's okay. I'll pass you a football note tomorrow.
Yeah. Thank you. Right? We would talk about boys and class and the silly looking pants that so-and-so was wearing in second period, or, you know, whatever. And it just felt good because you only really connected
with the people you chose to connect with.
That made you feel good. People who accepted you, that loved you, that saw you, that really offered a positive experience. You know, so unless you had, you know, an unhealthy living situation, which some people do, so I don't want to not bring
Acknowledge,
awareness
yeah.
or acknowledge that. There definitely were people who had toxic home lives and that was stressful. But even in those scenarios, you know, you'd go in your room, you'd close the door, you'd talk to your friend, you'd listen to your favorite music, you'd paint, you'd write a poem. You did your thing. You were able to kind of really connect with yourself and work on finding your identity, being who you wanted to be. Extracurricular activities were like
Nothing like they are now.
nothing like they are today. Like some people did them, some people didn't. If you didn't do anything, that was totally okay. If you did do something, you did something. You didn't do
You
like
weren't involved in 8 sports.
14 things in different versions of it. Like I don't just play basketball. I'm on 14 different basketball teams and I travel and this, that, and the other thing. And so by the time you got up the next morning to go back to school, you were rested, you were calm, your nervous system was regulated, and you were embarking on a new day. And maybe you had some residual leftover stuff from the day before, right? Because the world wasn't perfect and our situations weren't perfect. So we definitely would carry over some things from the day before, sometimes that were upsetting. But there was nothing happening from 3 o'clock until 7 a.m. the next morning that was making it worse, right? Unless we had homework that was a little bit too hard. And it was like, oh, crap. You know, I don't think I got this math example right. Or I'm worried I might not do so great on my science test tomorrow. But like, you know, that was really the biggest thing. So today, that is not even close.
Well, you're going home, and it'll be really interesting to see how the school year goes with the no phone thing moving into, because now you're you know, particularly that if you don't have your phone all day, you're going to go home and you're going to be on your phone.
They're on their phone anyway, but yeah, it's going to be even worse because now they've got catch up to do.
Yep.
Right. So for those of you that don't know, here in New York, a new law has passed that starting in September, there's no cell phones allowed in school from the bell to the bell. So from the moment school starts until the moment school is over, kids are not allowed to look at their phone. So it's definitely going to be interesting. But let's start with what's happening, you know, after school, from the time that the kid comes home until the next morning when it's time to go back to school, they are on their phone nonstop.
Yes.
And what's happening on the phone, for the most part, isn't good. There's a variety of things happening. Number one, they're engaging in group chats, unsupervised group chats with a bunch of other kids. You know, somebody said to me just today when I was at a meeting earlier today, a social worker that works with this company that is working on, you know, helping kids with suicidal ideation and bullying and violence and things like that. So what she said was that you would never, ever, ever allow a bunch of 9 or 10-year-olds go out for the day and hang out totally unsupervised. That would be crazy, right? Like if you have a bunch of 9 or 10-year-olds that are just going to just be together all day in a play date, there's going to be a parent there supervising them, right? But in social media, who is supervising them?
Yeah, no one.
No one is supervising them. So she said this to me today, and it blew my mind because she's entirely right. So our kids, for the most part, are unsupervised on social media all day long.
Even with parental controls and like I used to put limits on my daughter's phone. She could only be on, you know, TikTok for 1 hour a day. And she figured out the workaround.
Yeah.
And then she canceled out my time limit and blocked me from being able to then put another one on. Like,
Because they're better at technology than we are.
Absolutely. Yep.
But even there, even if you put limits, during that limit that they're still on, they're unsupervised. You're not sitting over their shoulder like a lunatic, watching everything that they say and everything that their friends say, and their parents aren't doing that either. You know, when my kids were growing up and there really wasn't social media yet, you know, they would have a bunch of their friends over. And even though I wasn't like flying over them, I was in the other room and I could hear what was going on.
Yeah.
I could hear if there was a problem. If they were in the backyard running around, I would be sitting in the dining room where the sliding glass doors were, just watching them and making sure that they were safe. Or maybe I would go outside and I would sit at the table and I would not interfere, but I still had a pulse on what was happening. But now, because so many things, especially since COVID, so many things are virtual.
Yeah.
There's like virtual extracurricular activities after school and virtual groups and, virtual playing video games together. And, there's so much going on, through technology. There's so much interaction that supervision is just not a part of.
It's impossible.
At all, because it's not possible.
Yeah, even if you wanted to, you can't.
Right. So these little people who don't have fully developed brains that are still learning how to interact and process and talk to each other and read each other's languages and understand nuances and tones and whatnot are attacking each other, not necessarily always purposefully. So I think there's a lot of benign bullying going on where like a kid is being mean to another kid, but doesn't even know they're being mean to another kid. Not only that, but I think that we are so much more likely as humans to say, nasty things to another person.
From behind a computer.
From behind a screen.
Yep, it doesn't seem real.
Right. Weren't we just talking about this? Was it you that I was talking to?
No, but we've had this conversation.
I was just talking to somebody and I was like, well, yeah, because it's so much easier to just like be a jerk on a comment underneath a Facebook post than it is to be a jerk
never say
to
that
someone's
to someone.
face,
Yep,
right? You
never.
will say things to people through, a social media platform, whether it be TikTok or Snapchat or Instagram or Facebook, whatever it may be. And even adults are doing this. You'd say things that you would never in a million years say to a human being's face.
Yeah.
Right. And I saw that firsthand. I remember back in 2016, when politics were getting a little bit hairy, and I don't know, I said something or posted something alluding to who I was voting for at the time, which was very controversial, I guess. And somebody was very angry at my decision, and they like posted a bunch of really mean things, like calling me names and stuff. And I was like, oh my God. And it was like somebody that we went to high school with that I really had very little contact with, that I just happened to be friends with on Facebook. And she really like went to town, ripping me to shreds.
Ooh.
Over just like a post. And I just like unfriended her and blocked her because I was like, who needs this crap? But I'm not a kid who has to go to school the next day now and see this person.
Mm-hmm.
But what's funny is a couple of years later, I ran into her at Panera. Yeah. I was holding my tray and I was walking, and she was holding her tray and she was walking, and we had this moment and we locked eyes. And I was like, what's she going to do now? And she went, hi, how are you? And I was like, you hate me.
Obviously not traumatized.
Yeah, not traumatized. I think she was like, I'm standing here in front of you. I see you. We're locking eyes. We're sharing energy. We're in the same space. And there's no way I could treat you like the piece of shit I treated you like through the lens of social media behind a screen where I was safe. And I would said things I would never say to your face clearly. And now we've got these little people. We've got these underdeveloped brains who really can't yet navigate the complexities of these interactions and what they mean. And they say terrible things to each other.
Yeah.
They really do.
I mean, and we're not even talking about like all of the horrible anonymous comments that are under things too. We're talking just, the kids that you're friends with that are saying things and might not even realize how mean they are.
They really don't. They really don't realize how mean they are.
Sometimes
they're doing it intentionally, right? And it's a survival instinct for them. Like for some reason, they feel like I have to be mean to this person so that others will accept me. Or this is the group think of the moment that we're all going to be mean to so-and-so and I have to be a part of it. Or I'm afraid she's going to be mean to me, so I'm going to be mean to her first. There's so much pressure there. But the reality is all these little conversations going on, through social media and through technology or through a group chat that kids are not ready to be able to navigate, and no one is guiding them. No one is overhearing what's going on and saying, hey, I noticed that when so-and-so said this, you seem to get a little defensive. What did it mean to you that so-and-so said that? Do you think you might have taken it personally? Right? No one is helping them. No one is seeing what's happening or guiding it. So by the time these poor kids have to get up the next morning and go to school, they've had an entire afternoon and evening of having some really stressful, volatile, hostile conversations with their peers. It's not me and you on the phone, you know,
talking and communicating
totally in
and
sync with each other's vibe and validating each other because we're each other's safe person, right? Instead, it's group chats and kids getting left out and kids talking about other kids. And, you know, there's a lot of dopamine release and connecting through negative talk, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right? Kids tend to, you know, bond over hating someone or hating something. And so there's a lot of negative interactions creating bonding and also creating stress and tension. And now the kid has a hard time sleeping, right? Because they've been on their phone. There's a lot going on. They don't want to get off their phone because they don't want to miss out on something. They're sneaking their phone under the covers. They're not getting enough sleep at all.
Yeah.
And now they're waking up in the morning and the first thing they're doing is getting back on their phone to see what they've missed. So by the time they get on that school bus, right, their nervous system is completely dysregulated. They've had an enormous amount of negative interaction, and they now have to walk into the building with all of these little people, right, that are going to just be in their face and be reactive to all of the negative things that they've experienced over the last 12 hours, right? Yeah. So what can we do as parents, right? So if we're going to, we can just talk about this and make everybody aware of it. And so all the parents that are listening and watching could be like, holy shit, what do I do? So what do they do, right? So if we're going to start this school year off, really understanding what's happening for our kids and understanding what we can do to help them, because I feel that social media and technology happen so fast. I feel like it was like almost as if overnight it just became the way.
Yes.
Especially during COVID, that really catapulted things tremendously, really pushing us into this space where even as adults, we are interacting more through Zoom and Google Meets and FaceTime than ever before, even in our profession.
Yeah.
We're doing it, you know, where it was never a thing before. And so how can we help our kids be more resilient by teaching them things and skills to be able to navigate this technology, right? This computerized world that they live in that really we have not taught them how to navigate at all.
I think part of it is we don't understand how to navigate it. You know, I'm thinking just, you know, the first thing that's coming to my head is like setting up time limits and, you know, being there with them when they're, you know, depending upon their age, but like, you know, being there with them and kind of interacting with them on like, hey, what's going on? Who are you talking to? What are you guys saying? Like opening up that dialogue.
I think time limits is important. I think time limits become difficult for a lot of parents because they're working and they're busy, or they're a single parent and they're navigating everything and they just want the kids to be entertained so they can cook dinner, so they can fold some laundry, or they need this kid to be entertained so they can do homework with that kid. And so there's a lot going on. And so setting time limits is so huge because it gives the kid the opportunity to take a break from all of that. But we have to do more than that, because how do we help the child regulate while they're taking the break? Because there's definitely this feeling of I'm missing out.
Yes.
I'm missing something. Everyone's on the group chat and I'm not on it. So now I'm not going to be invited to hang out tomorrow after school because I'm not part of the planning of the plans. Right? Or, you know, we're all in this group chat and I really like this boy or I really like this girl, and now I'm going to not be a part of the group chat. So they're going to be talking to this one or that one more than they're talking to me. And then they're going to like them instead of liking me. And I'm going to miss something that's going on. Right. So we have to help our kids regulate what it means to take a break from social media and from the chats and from the constant interaction with their peers. But we also have to teach them how to filter what they're looking at through a different perspective. Because I think a big part of the problem is kids are looking at conversations, they're looking at memes, they're looking at videos. And now with AI in the picture, you don't even know
what's real
half the time, what's real and what isn't real. And so like I'm constantly seeing on Facebook I don't know why I'm being assaulted by sharks, but I'm constantly seeing videos of like people having encounters with sharks.
It is Shark Week.
Maybe that's why.
And it is the 50th anniversary of Jaws.
Maybe that's why. That could be it. I'm like, does Facebook know I don't
And
like
it's
sharks?
summer and there's sharks everywhere and people are surprised because they live there.
I'm just constantly seeing videos and I'm like, I don't think this is real. Is this real? This isn't real. Or I'll see like an advertisement for like a new movie that's coming out, like, you know, part 8 of Back to the Future and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, is this real? And then like, I have to look it up.
Mm-hmm.
Is this real? Like, why are you tricking me into thinking a movie's coming out that isn't? But sometimes I'll send something to my daughter and be like, is this real? And she's like, no, rolling eye emoji.
Eye rolling.
You're so old, mommy, you know? And it's just like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But there's images that our kids are seeing and they don't know if it's real or not, but their brains are reacting to these things as if they are real. So they might think that, you know, a kid is being abused or someone is being harmed. It could be so many different things that they're seeing that, again, cause a lot of emotional dysregulation. And they have feelings about all these things that they're seeing and feelings about all these things that are being said to them. And so we have to teach them and teach ourselves, right? How do we navigate through social media in a way that can leave us resilient at the other end? And I think one of the most important things, number one, first and foremost, and even as adults, we need to learn this, is not everything you see is real.
Yes.
And just because something feels good to see doesn't mean it's real, right? Sometimes we see things that validate something that we believe or something that we think. And it feels good to see it because it feels validating. But we have to understand the source of what we're looking for and where it's coming from. And we can't be reactive to a picture or a meme or a video
Or clip. Yep.
or a clip
Mm-hmm.
or a comment, right? Because everything we see is a teeny tiny clip of something bigger, right? Every reel we see is just a 60-second version of a bigger picture.
Yep. Taken out of context.
Taken out of context. Or it could just be AI creating images that never happened.
Yeah.
Right? You know, even a comment, right? If you're a kid and you post a picture of yourself on Instagram, you're really excited about your first day of school outfit. And you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited with my cute little dress or my, you know, really cool jeans or whatever it is.
And the stupid sign that I make my daughter hold up every
Yeah,
year that
those
says
signs.
Callie's first day of.
Yeah. And then at the end of the year, you have the comparison.
Yeah.
First day, last day, right? But we have to help our children navigate how they are responding emotionally to the comments under their pictures. So if they post that, you know, first day of school outfit that they're all excited about, they feel good about themselves and they post it. And some kid writes something stupid and mean and nasty. And now the kid's all upset, right? I don't feel good about myself because so-and-so said that I look fat. Or so-and-so said that my outfit is ugly. Or so-and-so
Made fun of my hair, whatever it is. Yep.
accused me of copying them because they have the same outfit, right? We have to now more than ever teach our children how to not internalize that. Because like I said earlier, it's so much easier for us to be mean to each other
Through a keyboard.
through a keyboard and a screen
Mm-hmm.
than it is in person. And kids will say things to each other they never say in person.
Yeah.
And we have to learn how to teach our children how to not internalize those nasty comments, how to not internalize what other kids are saying, how to not take everything so personally, even though it feels so personal, how to be curious about what might be going on for that other person, right? How to read through it, how to read between the lines, how to understand, you know, nasty words.
Which is really big emotional work.
It is.
To be expected for kids.
It is. And I'm so glad you said that because the reality is it is really big emotional work. And some kids don't feel, you know, developmentally ready for that. And that's why there's a mental health crisis because they're not ready for it, but the shit's being thrown at them anyway.
Yeah.
But they don't know what to do with it. And so we have to start to teach our kids in age appropriate ways how they can deal with it. And so, number one, do you remember our shit throwing episode?
I do.
Right?
I was wondering where you were going with do you remember? It could have been anywhere.
One of my favorite episodes, I really think it might be my favorite one, is when we talk about assigning meaning to other people's behavior, the story writing that we do. And now if adults are doing that, right? You got to believe the kids are doing it more than we are. And they don't know the difference. Just like they don't know the difference between the AI video and the real video. They don't
Neither do we.
Yeah, neither do we. I'm like, is that a real shark attack? I don't know, right? So we don't, as humans, regardless of age, we often don't know the difference. Our brain can't process the difference between what is real and what is not real. So we could imagine something in our minds or have a dream. You ever have a dream and you wake up in the morning and you're not sure for a split second if it really happened or not? And then you can process the fact that it's a dream, but like you're still mad at somebody that was in your dream for something shitty that they did in your dream. Right? Like,
Yes.
I have woken up angry at my husband for something he did in my dream. And he's like, I didn't do that. And I'm like, but you did. Right? I'm loyal to the emotion that my brain responded with. Right? My brain responded to the dream. My brain responds to what I daydream about. Our brains respond to what we think, and our brains respond to what we see. So if we see a video on social media, we see a movie, a scary movie, right? Or a sad movie, we have an emotional reaction to it, even though logically we know it isn't true. Our brain is still reacting as if it is true.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening to our little ones on social media.
And you were talking about assigning meaning too, like the stories you create in your head. Like you posted this picture, the first day of school outfit, and you know that the boy you like had seen it because you can see that he's been on Instagram today, but he didn't like it. And what does that mean? And the way you just snowball into that whole thing. You're assigning meaning. He didn't click the little heart. He must not like me. Oh my God, my world is over.
100%. And that's part of the spiral. And that leads us to the kid who doesn't want to wake up in the morning and go to school because that kid has written an entire story about how
he doesn't like me. Nobody likes me. I should just die. And
right. Or he likes Matilda. What if he asks her out during fifth period and I have to see it happen? And now the kid's having a panic attack and doesn't want to go to school because the boy that she likes is going to ask Matilda out during English class.
Yep. With no basis for reality, but
because
that's
he
the
didn't like her
story you
picture.
created. Yep.
Right. But in reality, what might be happening is this boy maybe does like her and he did see the picture, but he doesn't want to like the picture because he's afraid then she's going to know that he likes her.
Or maybe he didn't see the picture.
Yeah. Maybe he didn't see the picture.
There's 1,000 different explanations.
Right.
Well, there's probably like 4, but
all you need is an alternative explanation as to what story the child has written. So I think if we're going to raise resilient children, and if we're going to be resilient ourselves, and we're going to send our kiddos back off to school in September in this social media world, one of the most important things we can teach them, more important than chemistry or the chemistry regents, is what meaning are you assigning to your peers' behavior? What meaning are you assigning to whether or not they liked your picture on Instagram? What meaning are you assigning to what they said under your post? Because sometimes kids say nasty things. And sometimes they're saying nasty things. Actually, I'm going to start over. Most of the time, almost always, they're saying nasty things because of what's going on inside of them and not because of how they feel about that other kid.
yeah.
It is almost always a reflection of what's happening inside of them and not a reflection of the person that they are commenting to. Right? Kids see opportunities to feel better about themselves. And the reality is, in this world we live in, with so much pressure coming at them in so many different directions, they're constantly feeling dysregulated and looking for opportunities to feel better. And kids, like I said before, do bond over dislike. They bond over having a common enemy.
Being mean. Yep.
They bond over being mean to somebody else. It becomes like this
Little
group
click, like a club.
click connection club, releases dopamine. It feels rewarding. You know, there's a bonding that goes on there. It's tribal. And it is extremely important to make kids aware that when somebody's saying something negative to you, it's probably not about you. And to start to see these nasty comments through the lens of, I wonder what's going on for them that they feel that need to be nasty to me.
Which I think is such an important thing for parents to learn for themselves.
Yeah.
I think you have to be able to kind of automatically say that to yourself and kind of live your life in that way in order to have that conversation with your child and to be modeling that also.
Yep. 100%. And I think a lot of parents aren't.
No.
So I think that's part of the lesson here, right? Raising resilient children means that we have to own as parents where our own unresolved stuff is, you know, and what we might be projecting onto our kids, right? Because we are, as humans, always going to have stuff to work through. And we're always going to have stuff we're projecting out there. And social media becomes a cesspool of projecting our shit, right? So going back to that episode and talking about the story writing, the stories you write about why people do the things that they do. And what does it mean that this person said this? Or what does it mean that that person said that? Or, you know, it could be something like, and we see this a lot, unfortunately, like a kid will be at home and they'll like go on Snapchat and they'll see a Snapchat story or an Instagram story and they'll see two of their friends hanging out. And that'll be their story. And they'll be like, why didn't they invite me?
That is, I don't know how kids tolerate that now. Like we used to, you know, you would go home from school Friday. If you weren't invited to something over the weekend, you wouldn't know about it until Monday morning.
Exactly.
And like you could live your entire weekend and be okay.
And
not
be happy.
not knowing you weren't invited to the party.
Right. You get up and go back to school on Monday and you're okay.
Yep. Now you have the ability to see everyone's location in real time and know that everyone is hanging out at Taco Bell and you're sitting home and you weren't invited. And why weren't you invited?
Right. And now you're supposed to have good mental health and want to get up and go to school on Monday. When
knowing that everyone was at Taco Bell and didn't invite you.
Right. And now you're writing a story about it.
Yep.
They don't like me. Right. They think I'm stupid. They think I'm ugly. I'm not good enough. They don't want to be my friend anymore. In the meantime, there could be like a totally reasonable explanation as to why that happened and had nothing to do with leaving you out. Right. Sometimes there's just like, you know, a series of events that happens that just like brings people together that like it wasn't intentional, but it feels intentional. You feel rejected, right? And the reality is, you know, we're animals, right? And we are, you know, we are animals that like to be with others. We are social beings. We are social animals. And we want to feel like we're a part of a tribe. And when we think that our membership in the tribe is in danger and we're going to be kicked out of the tribe and we're going to be alone, that totally turns on that fight or flight response because our body, our sensation is to see that as being that we're in danger.
Threatening. Yep.
It's threatening. Now I'm alone. How am I going to navigate walking into middle school or high school alone? If my tribe is rejecting me and I'm no longer a part of my tribe, and now I have to walk into the forest without protection, I am not safe. I'm not going there. Right? But now they have to go. So they're walking into this building feeling totally dysregulated. They're in fight or flight. They're in a state of panic. They're walking into the classroom. They're taking these deep breaths. You know, they're having a hard time focusing and paying attention. And all of a sudden the teacher's yelling at them that they didn't take out their textbook and open up to page 672. If kids still have textbooks.
Some.
I don't even know.
Some.
But that's their experience. And so they're so uncomfortable. And I think that with the world being where it is and seeing social media and seeing the response that we have emotionally to social media and how threatened we all feel and how desperate we feel to be a part of something and to be accepted and to be loved and to have connections, but yet feel so disconnected. It's like we're more connected than ever, yet we feel lonelier and more disconnected than ever because there's so much rejection in our interactions that we don't feel good. And it's hard enough for adults,
I was just thinking that, like, as you're saying this, I'm thinking like my relationship with my phone and social media. And, we were sitting in the car with my daughter yesterday and like we're driving and like she's looking at her phone. I'm like, can you put it down for a minute? Like, let's just have a conversation. And it was just like, it was so difficult to get the phone out of her hand, like the whole FOMO, like there's something going on that she might be missing.
Yes. Oh, like FOMO, right? FOMO wasn't a thing when we were growing up. I'm not going to say that we didn't have fear of missing out, but there wasn't like a word for it, right? No one, like if I went in a time machine and went back in time and I went up to you in 12th grade and was like, I've got FOMO, you'd be like, what now? Right? Like it's a real thing, this fear of missing out, even though we're constantly connected and interacting with each other, yet we feel so left out. Adults feel left out.
Yeah. And so I'm just thinking like my relationship with my phone too, like even telling her to put it down, like we'll be sitting on the couch and like put the phone down. Let's have it. She's like, you're looking at yours. I'm like, okay, we're both going to put them down and have a conversation. So like, what am I modeling in terms of that, always being on the phone and my reaction to things on the internet?
Yep.
And how that's going to obviously impact her and being able to kind of build that resiliency in her. Like other people's comments don't matter, that kind of message I need to be sending, but need to be saying it out loud and kind of modeling that.
Yeah, I think that's a really great idea, actually, is saying it out loud. I don't know if, it's always going to be helpful for everybody to say it doesn't matter, because that might feel invalidating to some kids. They might say, but it does matter. What we want to teach them is not that it doesn't matter, but that it isn't what you think it is, right? How do we read through the lines? How do we see all the negative messages we're getting for what they are? Or how do we recognize when we're story writing and assigning meaning to some of the messages that we're getting that maybe aren't negative? I mean, how many of us feel rejected when we send somebody a text and they respond K? Right? It hurts a little bit. It's like, oh, you
literally
don't care.
Went into my husband's phone and made the K, like it autocorrects to the word okay, because it made me crazy that like he couldn't take the time to put 2 letters in and like actually give me a response. So it autocorrects now.
So what meaning were you assigning to it that he was saying K?
It was that he didn't have time, that he's so busy that he couldn't bother with a response.
Do you think that is really always the case? Or do you think that's just how it feels for you?
Oh, it's just how it felt for me.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's just it. Something as simple as a letter, right? Just a letter.
Yep. Creates such a reaction.
We feel rejected, right? I have literally had patients come in who've had full-fledged fights with their significant others over the letter K.
Which is now kind of since been replaced with like the thumbs up emoji or like liking something.
Mm-hmm.
Because even that, like even conversation, like over text, like there's no real awkward, like it just sort of ends. Like you don't say like, okay, I'm going to bed. Good night. Like it's just, there's banter and then it just stops.
You just stop talking and then you pick up on it again.
Yep. And then, you assign meaning. Where did they go? Did I say something wrong?
You know what I'll do sometimes? I'll be like in meetings and a couple of hours will go by that I don't get to look at my phone, believe it or not. And I survive. And then like I'll have to catch up because there's just like a million correspondence on my phone that I haven't responded to in 5 hours. And I'll have like, there'll be like a text chain between like people I work with, right? And I'll be like, all right, I have to catch up on this. I have to scroll through it and see if there's anything important in here that hasn't been resolved yet that I have to respond. And I'll feel compelled to have to acknowledge what was being said so that they know I saw it, but don't really have time to say anything, or at this point, it's already past the point. And so I'll like do the exclamation point or I'll do the thumbs up, right? I'll do the heart, right? Just acknowledging like this is constant pressure to acknowledge. And I think that there could be a little burnout with that. So maybe sometimes kids just feel so burnt out. They're a part of several different conversations going on all at once, or they're a part of like a bunch of different group chats, or they're trying to navigate, hiding their phone from their mom and doing their homework and having to take a shower, and they can't keep up with it all. And so they might answer with a K or a thumbs up. and they don't mean anything by it. But, there's
someone else is assigning meaning
little
to
Johnny
that.
on the other side is just like, oh my God, Matilda doesn't like me anymore. She gave me a thumbs up. And Matilda might not have even read what he said because she just wanted it. It was so important to her that she answer him so he doesn't think that she's ignoring him, but her mom's coming in and she has to hide her phone. Right? So much is going on. And I don't think that anyone has really taught this to society. We haven't taught ourselves, and we certainly have not taught the children.
Because I think it is constantly evolving too.
It is constantly evolving, and it's just new things come out, right? New social media platforms and new ways of interacting.
New phrases,
and parents that don't even know. Like, I remember when Snapchat became a thing, and I was just like, what the heck is this? I couldn't even understand how it worked. And it was like, I really fell out of the loop of even being able to monitor what was going on for my daughter because I couldn't even understand it. And then things disappear. So you can't even go back and check.
I know.
When they're sleeping in their phone.
I had done that.
What's happening and the conversations that are going on. It's too late.
Yep. I had done that. I had taken my daughter's phone to just kind of read through and make sure everything was okay. Looking at text, looking at messages. Yep. Nothing was in text. It's all in Snapchat and it was all gone.
Right.
So I have no idea.
Right. But they don't know how to navigate these things. And so I really think that, let's take the time, for the rest of the summer, whatever we have left, and going into the school year, really helping our children take a break from social media, which means you got to be present with them. You can't just say, I'm taking your phone away, go find something to do. That's not going to work, right? We have to engage with them, interact with them, give them something to do, give them something to be a part of, and teach them how to not assign meaning to what other people are doing, how to read comments in a way that, it's just a little slice of reality, right? And it's just a comment. It's just words taken out of context that we don't really understand the basis of. And I think that really helping children in a way that they can understand that so that they can be less affected by what they're seeing and what other people are putting out there, to be able to look at it. Our whole podcast, why do people do that, right? If we can teach our children why people do that, they will be less affected by their peers, why other people do the things that they do. I think, when I was raising my kids, that was the one thing that helped them the most, right? My son would come home and he got bullied a lot. And it was like, this one did this and this one did that. It was always, why do you think he might have done that? What do you think is going on with him? And my son would always say, can't anyone ever just be an asshole? And I would say, no, they cannot. There's a reason. Everyone's got a story. And so if we teach our children to understand, right, the complexities of humanity and being a child and what all of that means, and how to look at a picture and how to see where it's coming from and how to question whether or not it's real, is so important.
Yeah.
Right? Validate them. Understand what they're going through. Understand how difficult it is. Understand, that it is stuff that is stressful and hard. And, be kind, be patient with them, and, call back to our other episode about, seeing the extension of yourself and your children, and understanding that, at some point there's a separation between your story and theirs. We have to also really know when our child is walking back into that building in September, know who they are, meet them where they're at, know what their strengths and weaknesses are. If you've got a kid that is really, really, really struggling in math and they're trying their best, don't make math the thing they spend the most of their time doing. Right? If they're struggling in math and now you have them go in early in the morning for extra help in math, and you've got them in, extra help math during the day, and they're, going to a special math lab thing that they're doing to help with math, or they're being pulled out, right, for special math or whatever it is. And now after school, the tutor comes over to the house and they're doing math tutoring. And this is happening several times a week. What you're doing, I know you think you're helping your kid and you're like, oh my God, they're not going to get good grades in math. They have to do better and I have to make them do better. The reality is making them do math 24/7 isn't going to fix it. It's okay to get them some help, but don't let the one thing that they're struggling with become the thing they do the most, because it is more important that your child love themselves, have confidence, and feel good about themselves than that they are good at math, because they are good at something.
Maybe not math.
And it's not math, and that's okay.
Nor is it chemistry.
Nor is it chemistry, and that's okay too. Really feed what their interests are. Feed what they're good at. Feed what is going to make them feel good about themselves and love themselves and have interest in the world and want to keep going. Let them be motivated, because if we're like, you're a really great dancer, or you're really great at basketball, or, you're amazing at art, but I want you to spend more time doing math because you suck at that. We're creating a problem. And I see it all day long, right? So again, as the mental health provider that owns a group practice on Long Island, stretching across the island, seeing thousands of kids, I promise you, I'm not pulling this stuff out of my butt. It is reality-based, right? You're not a failure as a parent if you're not fixing your child's math problem.
I think it becomes autopilot, though.
Yeah.
Like, my daughter struggled in chemistry. Why are you not going for extra help in chemistry? And again, don't need her to be a chemist, just need her to pass.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important to pass. So again, you have to be realistic and understand that there's, certain things in society we have to do. You want your kid to graduate, so you have to help them to do that. But you have to know where the boundaries are and know where the middle ground is, right? So again, yeah. If your kid's going to fail chemistry or your kid's going to fail math, you have to help them to not fail. But don't push it to the point where it's all they're doing and you want them to be a rock star at it. Accept sometimes that something is going to be a weakness, and find the strengths and feed the strengths and build on the strengths and reward the strengths, celebrate the strengths. Support the weaknesses, but don't let that become the focal point of their existence. And we see a lot of that during the school year. And I think that's one of the reasons why when parents and kids see that September is coming, their reaction is exactly what your reaction was when we started this podcast. Ugh.
Yep.
Oh, God, it's back to the power struggle, the fighting, the crying, making my kid go to the math tutor again or the chemistry tutor, or having to, fight with them about extra help, or the tantrums at homework time, Even
just the responsibilities and the fact that it gets dark so early.
Yeah. Well, that's a chemical reaction that we have, right?
Yep.
Because the sunlight releases the vitamin D that we need to feel happy and to thrive. And so, there's actually a chemical reaction that our brain has to the changing of the season and the darkness that comes earlier in the day. And
seasonal affective disorder is real.
It is real. And a lot of people do struggle from it. So people do tend to naturally be happier in the summer.
But it's the responsibilities. It's all of the, it's the activities after. It's all of that stuff. Having to get home. Yep.
The activities, right? Don't be that parent. And this is, I was guilty of this myself. Don't be that parent that goes on social media and says, oh, all my friends' kids are doing this activity and that activity and that activity. And I'm a failure as a parent if I'm not signing my kids up for all these activities. And then we're mad at them that they're failing at math too. Right?
Because they're completely overscheduled.
Right. Who's totally dysregulated from all the social media stuff, and then going to school and having to sit through class and have to regulate without their phone, even though they're used to always having their phone, because now there's new laws that say they can't have their phone, and they're trying to get through school, and then they come out of school and now they have to do their homework really quickly.
Because they got to go to violin, and right after that to softball.
Right. And then they've got dance competition class and whatever. And then they come home and you're yelling at them to hurry up and take a shower and get ready for bed because it's getting late, but they still have homework to do. And now
they haven't looked at their phone in 2 hours while they were in class. They have to catch up with that.
They have to catch up with that, or they're not going to be included in the plans. And then they're going to have to
know
look
what
at
happened.
a video of. So parents, know what your kids are going through and be okay with limiting even the extracurricular activities. It is okay for your kid to have a day where they come home from school and do nothing. Just just chill. You're not failing as a parent if your kid isn't doing something on Tuesday afternoon. It's okay. And it's okay that your friend's kid is involved in 5 activities and your kid is only involved in 2. That's okay.
What's so funny, I had joined a Facebook group on like kids going, getting ready for college. And, the parents are posting, things like, what school can my kid get into? They only have 7 curriculars and they played varsity this and their weighted average is 4.0. And we're 5.0. Like I had to actually drop out of it. And there was a group called Awesomely Average because it's not all of those, it was ridiculous. And even the Awesomely Average are, have a 3.0 and are captain of the football team and all of these volunteer hours. So like even that, like you need, like the expectations parents have on kids is insane.
Right. And you're going on social media and you're seeing that and it's making you feel a certain sort of way.
My kid's never going to get into college.
And you're 50 years old. Or imagine how your 16-year-old feels seeing all of that on social media, right? Oh, this one, there has a bed decorating ceremony going on for this school that they're getting into.
Don't get me started.
What if my friends don't make a bed decorating party for me? And what if I'm not going to college and I don't have a T-shirt to wear on school acceptance day?
That's the worst.
It is the worst because not everyone goes to college and that's okay. But I think that the culture has become, this is what everybody's doing. And if I'm not doing all of this, I've failed. I failed as a parent. I failed as a kid. And I think it's really important to note, you ever hear somebody say, you can't really believe the reviews that you see underneath something on social media or online because the only people that take the time to post a review are the people that are complaining.
People that even like Yelp, like either you really love it or you really hate it. Like,
right.
An average meal, you're not bothering to.
So I think with social media, it's the opposite. The only thing we're posting on social media are the good things we have to post. We're not posting our failures. We're not posting the 72 we got on a test. We're not posting, my kid played soccer today and they didn't score any goals and they made a few mistakes. Here's some pictures.
Here's my kid shitting the bed in softball.
Yeah. We're not doing that. Right? Oh, here's a picture. Here's a good one. Here's a picture of the rejection letter my kid got from this college. Just wanted to share it with everybody. Right? That's not happening.
Here's my dress I can't zip up because we ate donuts before.
Yes, exactly. Right? Here's my stomach ache that I have from eating the donut that I ate before this podcast. We're not doing that. Right? Here's the shitty gift my husband got me for my birthday. Right? We're not doing that. That's a whole new social media platform we should start. Just ding, 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 business idea, right?
Shitty gifts.
Right? This is my mediocre life. We're not doing that. All we're doing is look,
it's the highlight
my
reel.
Kid got into this school. Yep. My kid, scored a goal today. So proud to be speaking at this event. So proud of my daughter who blah, 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 blah. So proud of my son who blah, blah, blah.
Yep. It's a carefully curated highlight reel with edited pictures. And
so we're scrolling, right? And we're like, oh my God, everyone's life is rocking except for mine. Everyone's kid is a rock star except for mine. And our kids are looking at all of this on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, wherever they look at things. And they're like, oh, everyone's life is going better than mine. I have all of these things going on and nobody else seems to have these things going on. Yeah, they do. They're just not posting it.
Yeah.
Right? So there's just this, misinformation, right? And this very skewed, unrealistic version of the world that we are looking at and comparing ourselves to. And I think it is so important to teach that to our children, right? To help them understand that all they're seeing is everybody's best foot forward, everybody's best day and best moments.
Yeah, that is really an important lesson that we need to understand as parents too.
Mm-hmm.
that we need to be able to look at that and recognize that that might not be real. Or even if that is real, that's one snapshot out of 1,000.
Right.
You didn't see the family screaming and crying. You just got the one picture by the Eiffel Tower.
Exactly. 100%. Or, that kid's like, oh, this so-and-so got 100 on this test and I got a 72. Look, they posted a picture of it on Snapchat and now I feel like a loser. And it's like, well, how do you know that they didn't get like a 57 on another test today that they're not posting on Snapchat? Right? They're not posting the worst moments. And so we're all having a human experience, but we're not sharing it with each other. So what we're seeing isn't real. And I think this should be a class that kids take in school, learning how to navigate social media, knowing how to navigate the technological world that is just being filtered through these rose-colored glasses. And this,
it really starts with parents, though.
Crazy
parents
lens.
have to take the class first.
Oh my God,
because I think we need to model that.
Yeah.
But I want to bring this back to returning to school because it went down a social media road, which is a really big part of that.
It is a huge part of it. It's really why our kids are so dysregulated. But yeah, I think it all is connected. So bringing it back to the grades and the pressure, right? If you're a parent putting pressure on your kid, remember to reward effort and not outcome. If your kid really tried their best on something, but didn't get the greatest grade, that's okay. Because the reality is, if you're a person that tries their best at something and puts forth all the effort that you can on things, you're going to be successful in life. So if somebody's best effort on an algebra test yields them a 72 or 19, then reward the effort. Good job.
It's a big 12-step phrase.
Yeah.
The effort, not the outcome.
Yes. The effort, not
because you
the
can't,
outcome.
That's what you're responsible for, your effort that you've put in.
Yes. Yeah. So as parents, we have to, because if we do not reward our children's efforts and we are only looking for outcomes, they are going to start to shut down and give up. And it is part of what creates the power struggle that we all dread in the beginning of the school year. And this is why summertime is a relief, right? Because it's not about any of this stuff anymore. We get a break from it.
Not having to fight about showering, going to bed on time, finishing dinner, cleaning up homework.
Why you got
homework.
a 72 on this test and why didn't you try harder? How do you know they didn't try their best? How do you know they didn't try harder? Maybe this just isn't their thing. And that's okay, right? And I think so, going back to resilience, it's about, number one, if we want to summarize where we've gone so far, we want to, understand the story writing that we do and the assigning of meanings, understand how to read technology and what is real and what is not real, understand that our minds don't necessarily know the difference between what is real and what isn't. Just because your brain sees something and is processing it doesn't mean that it's real. Understand the emotional response you're having to something and be curious about it before being reactive, right? Understand where the pressure is coming from that we're putting on our children. And I think the last part of it, which is definitely not the least, one of the most important things is acceptance, right? And I think that's really what I want to leave our pod people with. Accept that this is hard. Accept who your child is. Meet them where they're at, right? Accept their weaknesses with their strengths. Accept that they're trying their best. Meet them where they're at. Accept that where they're at might not be where you want them to be at. For a number of reasons, as a parent, you might want your kid to be at a different place. You might want them to be good at what you were good at, right? Or do the things that you did. Or you might want them to care more about getting into this college or that college. And it's
or about chemistry.
Or about chemistry. Poor Callie.
I know.
It's okay. It's not, I promise you, we can have this conversation again in 10 years. And I'm going to say, did it really matter that she didn't do well on the chemistry regions?
Nope. In this moment, in this moment it does. I can recognize that in the big picture of life, it's not really that big a deal.
Yeah. But the reality is she tried and it's not her thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay that it's not her thing. Right. And we want to catch ourselves from catastrophizing around, the things that our kids aren't good at, right? Like think, parents, this is the last thing I'm going to leave you with. Think about something that you are not good at and that you know no matter what you do, you're not going to be good at. Name something.
I'm good at everything.
Bullshit. Name one thing.
Oh, God, I'm feeling a lot of pressure.
I can't sing.
Oh, I can't sing.
We can't sing.
Yeah, that's
So if we got the best vocal coach in the world, we
still
paid
not going to
them
be able to
a
sing.
shit ton of money, and they came here and they did singing lessons with us for a year straight. Would
Not
it
gonna
help you?
Nope.
Wouldn't help me either.
Nope.
No, I could kill birds with my voice, right? So no matter what happens. So what would happen if somebody came here and said to us, all right, Stacey and Heather, you're going to fail in life if you can't sing. You have to be better at singing. So I want you to stop everything else that you're doing. And I want you to focus the next year of your life on singing and nothing but singing. I want you to go for singing lessons and singing tutors and extra help in singing. And I want you to just sing and do nothing but singing. How would we feel by the end of the year?
We would be miserable.
We'd be miserable. We'd feel bad about ourselves. We'd feel like a failure, right? And this will start to become the identity.
The message, the story we tell ourselves about
Right. This
who we
becomes
are.
the identity of who we are, right? This becomes our relationship with self. I'm a failure. I suck. No matter how hard I try, I can't do it, right? So we want to really make sure when our kids are going into this new school year, really see their strengths and weaknesses, help them where they need help. But there's a difference between help and pushing to fix something we can't, right? Help them to pass, help them to do better, help them to be the best versions of themselves that they could be and do the best that they can, but accept the best that they can is the best that they can and know that the effort is what's going to make them successful in life, not the outcome. So
That
going
was
into this
beautiful.
school year, right? Acceptance, right? And social media, learning how to see it, assigning meetings, right? Learning how to regulate, taking breaks from all of it, confidence, self-esteem. Don't put too much pressure, right? Don't overdo their extracurriculars and don't engage in the power struggle.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. Any last thoughts that you think is important for our pod parents to know or our pod kids to know before?
Pod parents. I like that.
Pod parents,
No, I think
yeah.
you wrapped it up really well.
All right, pod people. So school's coming, whether we like it or not.
Still have that reaction.
I know. Bleh. I don't have that problem anymore. My kids are all done. So let's make the best of it. Let's not go into this school year with a power struggle. Let's not go into this school year with dread. Let's not over schedule, right? Let's not over expect. Let's manage our expectations, meet our kids where they're at.
And I think it's starting that early, like starting the routines and not just waiting until the last minute too is so important. Like, okay, things are going to be changing. Let's start going to bed earlier. Let's start, getting back into some of those routines because so many kids, like when you throw that school all of a sudden to them, like have a really hard time navigating, the freedom to then not have that.
Yeah. And create the routines together,
Yep.
right? Don't just say,
This is what we're doing. What's going to work for us as a family?
Yeah, right. Because I'm the mom and I said so, right? Create the routine together before school starts. Say, let's talk about what worked last year and what didn't. Let's talk about where the concerns were and the struggles. And let's see if we can come up with a new system that's going to work for everybody. Be collaborative in your problem solving.
Yeah, I think that's a really good suggestion.
Yeah. So with that said, we wish you the very best school year. We will be here giving you more tips and advice as we go, but we hope this was helpful. I think the biggest takeaway is to really remember that we're all human and having this human experience and that we are really just doing the best that we can, right? Kids do well when they can. So if they're struggling a little bit, know that there's a reason and try to understand what the message is behind the reason. And don't just assume that your kids are trying to give you a hard time or be manipulative because that is never actually the case.
Never.
So never. No such thing.
It's
Whole
a
other
discussion for another day.
whole other podcast.
Yeah.
Yep. Next time.
All right.
Next time, why being manipulative is not real. All right. So we done?
We're done.
We done.
Yep.
All right, pod people. Don't forget to subscribe and to view us on podcasts in Apple and iHeartRadio and Spotify and YouTube.
Find us everywhere.
Remember that when you know next episodes are coming out, you get to watch them, and that helps you. And that's it.
That's it.
That's it. I'm Stacy.
And I'm Heather.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Why Do People Do That is recorded and produced by Press Record Studios.